And we're live, and we'll do a test. Test. Jennifer,
Test.
Ed,
Test.
and Haley.
Test.
All right. Test. Jennifer,
Test.
Ed,
Test.
and Haley.
Test.
All right, we'll just have to work that out as we go.
Is it me? Am I not close enough?
No.
Oh,
But
okay.
Am I okay? Oh.
Yeah, you're fine. No, you
Okay,
guys.
good.
You guys, I can balance a little easier because you're not next to me.
Okay.
So when you're next to me, I'm like, I hear you twice. Oh, don't leave. All right, there we go. Boom. Okay, from the top. And here we go. Okay, for God's sake. One more time.
Is it me?
No, it's me.
Okay.
Here we go.
Always Jennifer.
What do you get when you fall in love? A guy with a pin to burst your bubble. That's what you get for all your trouble. I'll never fall in love again. I'll never fall in love again.
What do you do when you kiss a girl? You get enough germs to catch pneumonia. After you do, she'll never phone you. I'll never fall in love again. Don't you know that I'll never fall in love again? Don't tell me what it's all about, 'cause I've been there, and I'm glad I'm out of those chains that bind you. That is why I'm here to remind you.
What do you get?
Yeah, I let that one play too long because I love Burt Bacharach. This is like the Josh episode of just Dionne Warwick and, like the Shirelles.
All of his music.
Yeah, just listening to Dionne Warwick. We got some Christopher Cross in that motherfucker. Come on!
And now
we're back. Welcome to the Gleeful Podcast with Josh and Annette. I am Josh.
I'm Jen.
I bet.
He said, and we are joined this week by listener Haley. Haley, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Hello,
Hello.
listener Haley. You've been with us since just about the beginning, I would think. I remember talking to you over email pretty early.
Yeah, I think I actually started listening to you guys like deep into the second season, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I found you guys and went back and listened to all the old ones, so.
And you're one of the few listeners that have met both Josh and Jen.
Yeah, I've met all three of you
Amazing.
guys, which is crazy, but awesome.
But yeah, so thank you for joining us this week, Haley. We are back to discuss the episode What the World Needs Now, the Burt Bacharach episode, which is written by Michael Hitchcock, who was the cop in the last episode, for people that don't know. He's also like one of Christopher Guest's guys. He did a lot of writing on Mad TV. I don't know why I felt the need to give you all a history lesson on Michael Hitchcock. So before we get started, Jennifer, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Little sleepy. Still waking up here, but I'm doing okay.
We're recording at 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning, which, Ed, is usually noon for you, but it is 9 a.m. for you today.
Yes.
Oh, see, it's 11 for me, so I'm good.
I'm jelly.
Haley is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. The rest of us are just bushy.
Just waking up. Thank you.
And Ed, how are things in Indiana?
I don't know. Snowy, I assume.
That's right, San Francisco. That's right. In Palo-
And in the Palo Alto, it's awesome. Last night I went to a London Grammar concert, which felt very fortunate because I bought tickets for February 2nd in Indianapolis. I bought those in November, not knowing I was going to be here. So I gave those tickets away when I found I was going away. And then I was going on Ticketmaster at like somewhat angrily. It's like, I wish I could see them. And I was like, hold on, they're in Oakland on Saturday? Okay, buying tickets. Of course, they were literally 3 times more expensive.
You were
What's
at the
that?
Egypt. What do you call that theater in Oakland that you were at?
Fox Theater.
The Fox Theater.
Yeah,
That's right.
we went there.
That's where we saw Neutral Milk Hotel a
Yes,
couple
we
years
did.
ago.
Yes, you mentioned that on my Instagram. And then what I don't know. Yeah, last night was just fun times in the Mission. I went to the San Francisco Indie Movie Festival, and I voted for some movies that were some good, some not so good, but that's what my voting's for.
And if you're listening live, or if you're watching the video, actually, you can see. Well, one, you can see that Jen and I redecorated my office. So now we used to be like facing exactly the same way, but over like 10 feet to the left, and so now we're over by the door. So here's the door. But you can see that Ed is apparently in a field of wheat.
Oh, is that why you said that? Oh, that's just.
I got it first. Now I get it.
There you go. And Haley is in such a dorm room.
I'm in a very dorm. Yes.
Haley, where are you today?
I am in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I go to the University of Minnesota, so that's where we are right now.
Very cool. And a little about your history with Glee. Are you a Kleiner? Are you a Finchler? Are you something weird?
I used to be a very strong Kleiner, and then I kind of saw the light and walked away. No, I don't know. I'm not going to be that hard on it. No, I think I was like a very serious Glee fan at first, and then as the seasons progressed, I kind of dropped out.
I think we're all there.
Now I basically watch it so that I can hear you guys talk about it. I mean, that's where we're at right now. So.
Well, thank you very much for that. Let's dive right in. The episode is called What the World Needs Now. It's the Burt Bacharach episode. All the songs were by Burt Bacharach, and mostly by Hal Prince as well, Hal David doing the lyrics. And I think the most important thing to discuss, really to kick off the conversation, would be Naira Vera's lips. Now, what the hell has that young lady done to herself?
It's a little aggressive with the filler. She's just so naturally beautiful. It's just sad to see people get enhancements that they don't need.
She's kind of. I like that they even made fun of her blonde hair in this episode. How she
I thought that it happened.
I know.
Too.
It totally. It just kind of happened and went away. But the bulk of the episode was about Santana and Brittany, or Britannia, and their engagement, and a little bit about spending some time with Santana's abuela, which was nice of Ian Brennan in the opening to remind us that happened, because we haven't mentioned the abuela in 3 years. But yes, so we got to spend some time with that continually burgeoning relationship. Let's start with Jennifer. Britannia's engagement, marriage, festivities. I don't know. Is there anything really going on there that's exciting?
No, I mean it's fun that they're still committing to it, because sometimes they'll do stuff and then it'll just go away and you'd be like, wait, weren't they gonna get married? But yeah, I thought like the whole thing was kind of fun, and the Artie being the planner and the sequences, and yeah, I mean, it's all, at this point, it's also inconsequential, but it's just, it's fun. That's
it is.
the way I'm looking at it.
It's a little bit of a tough episode to talk about, because this wasn't an episode where a lot of things occurred, but not a lot happened. Like, it was not an episode with substantial conflict or effect on the coming season. But Ed, over to Britannia, did you even remember Santana's abuela having some issues, or
yes,
that
I do remember that. The thing about this episode is I really, 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 really loved it. It was like an A episode, but at the same time, it should have been the payoff of an episode after 5 episodes of getting to know the 3.0s. So it was like while I really loved it, it was just like we haven't even spent time with these new kids, and now we're going back to the well for Britannia. I'm really glad we got Britannia at the same time. Britannia's the characters are where it's at. The humor is always on point, and that's, I don't know. I feel so bad for these new kids. I think someone mentioned it. Like, why can't we get the new kids with a montage about themselves for once?
Yeah.
Just for once.
But I just there's no future for them on the show, so investing time in their story is kind of a waste of time.
There's no future.
There's no future for
They
you.
have no future.
I clarified in the show.
No, literally, when the cameras stop rolling on season 13, they will cease to exist.
That's horrible.
Haley, do you have an affection for Britannia, and were you happy to see that reprised in this season?
Not really, but they're sweet. There's nothing special there for me, but they're very sweet together, and I don't know, it was nice to see that, I don't know, not nice to see that people are homophobic, but nice to see that there is some, like, oh, Glee isn't the real world, There are still varying opinions, and not everyone is going to be super excited that you're getting married all the time, and I thought that it was cool that they brought that realistic aspect to it. But obviously not cool, but cool that they varied opinions there, so...
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that they left her committed, I mean, that whatever this, they literally called her Abuela through the whole episode. Like, I don't know what her actual name is.
She does say her name.
Abuela Lopez.
Yeah, she does.
I think it's Alma.
Is it Alma?
That's right, because she says that in Fondue for Two.
Oh,
I
I
remember especially because we're right by Alma Street. I don't know. I was like, oh, there's the street. That was just there.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that she didn't cave at the end of the episode and just be like, okay,
I want her to. I want her to so bad.
Well, she still probably will. I mean,
yeah. At the wedding, there will be a big moment where Abuela sees the light and.
Yeah, where she walks in at the end and sits down and Santana cries. Of course. It seems like we're winding this season up on their wedding, which if you had paid me $1 million, I would have told you, I don't know how that would have occurred, but in this magical realism where somebody's like, hey, I'll give you $1 million to tell me how this season ends, I would have told you it would be Clayton's wedding, but it looks like we're going to end up playing it all out to the Britannia wedding.
Well, Britannia's the last good ship left, so gotta take it out to sea.
Britannia.
That's a good point, Ed. Is Britannia the only ship pretty much everyone agrees on? You gotta be pretty cold-hearted to not be on that one. It seems like the only one everybody's cool with.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
harmless characters.
Oh, sorry, Haley?
They're just really, harmless characters. They don't really do anything to bother anyone anymore. Santana's not a bitch anymore. It's kind of... I mean, she's a bitch without being a bitch. I don't know.
No, that's a really good point. They are the only ones that you can kind of unequivocally like at this point.
Right, and from the beginning, they were best friends, and then it grew into more, and so we got to see that all along, and it happened very organically, and it makes sense. It's very believable.
I mean, what's interesting is that they're still in Lima. They have no place to be.
Yeah.
And then now Artie's going to hang out for 6 weeks so that he can plan their wedding. No, I can't let it go.
Am I allowed to say whether or not this season ends with their wedding? Because I know.
Well, we'll keep that.
Okay.
But I think it seems to be. All right, my view, it seems to be aiming there, but we shall learn for sure very soon. So yeah, we also found out that Brittany, whose parents are played by Ken Jeong, and Jennifer Coolidge, was not apparently half Asian, and is actually fathered by your friend of mine, Stephen Hawking. In A Brief History of Time, the man who is so brilliant he can't walk or talk, but he can cheat on his wife. That's how smart.
The ladies love a brainiac. What can I say?
Brains are sexy, apparently.
They are. That's the lesson. That's our takeaway.
Takeaway from Stephen Hawking. Was it fun to meet Brittany's parents, Jennifer? Have you been waiting for that moment?
I hadn't really thought about it, but when I saw it was happening, I was I was excited because I actually adore both of those actors, and I thought it was kind of smart the way they did that. It totally makes sense.
I mean, it's funny because when we met her parents, it was my first thought was like, oh, we've never seen her parents before.
We've
We
seen her
talked about
Christmas
them.
tree, we've seen her house, and
Yeah.
different things, but there you go.
I think it was the last person whose parents had never been on screen.
Wow.
I don't think have we seen Blaine's parents?
We've not seen Blaine's parents, but we did see his brother.
We've seen. I mean, have we seen any Mercedes family?
No, we've only heard about the dentist.
No, we saw Mercedes family, didn't we?
Did we see her dad? I feel like we saw her dad. No.
I think somebody well, there's no one listening live, but or two people. There's two
And
people.
what about
listening.
Tina? Have we seen the Coen?
Oh, yeah, wow, there's two. There's two people. Oh, that's intense.
Did we see the Coen Shanks? I don't think. Okay, so apparently we
Just don't throw out. Just throw out things like The Last or like don't do that. I don't think so. I think there's still.
Have we seen Sam's parents?
we
Yes.
did see Sam's
When
parents.
they were
Heard of them?
Yeah, when they were living in the hotel.
It was John.
Oh, right. Okay.
Schneider.
And his little siblings.
Duke.
Was he Luke? I
It
don't
was
know.
Luke. It was one of the Dukes of Hazzard was Sam's dad, which seemed right.
No, but I mean, it makes sense for us to see Brittany's family, and she's been such a wacky character for so long. Again, to put the parents in that picture kind of is fun for me.
Yeah, absolutely. What we did, we got lots of Burt Bacharach songs in this episode, which is something we can come back and talk about in a minute. But before we do, let's take a quick listen to what would have been Heather Morris's big solo in this episode, which is Wishin' and Hopin', which they did gender swap. It's kind of fun. So here's a bit of Wishin' and Hopin' as performed by Heather Morris here on the Gleeful podcast.
Planning and dreaming each night of her charms that won't get you into her arms. So if you're looking to find love, you can share.
All you gotta do is hold her and kiss her and love her and show her that you care. Show her that you care just for her. Do the things she likes to do. Wear your hair just for her. 'Cause you won't get her thinking and a praying, wishing and a hoping. 'Cause wishing and hoping and thinking and praying, planning and dreaming, her kisses will start. That won't get you into her heart.
So if you're thinking of how great true love is, all you gotta do is hold her and kiss her and squeeze her and love her. Yeah, just do it. And after you do, you will be her.
I'm totally down with this gender swapping, except for that line right there where it messes up the rhyme. And then I'm like, oh, messed up the rhyme. But yes, this was originally Dionne Warwick, and then Dusty Springfield had a big hit for it. It's one of these like Burt Bacharach trademarks where you can't tell where the verse is and where the chorus is and the bridge. They all just kind of move. Ed, what is your familiarity background with the work of Burt Bacharach?
American Idol top 4 week or something like that, and season 1, and then top 6 week of season 12 or something like that.
I'm amazed that you have that level of memory of American Idol. That's awesome.
Well, I used to be really, really good, but you asked me about season 13. I do know who won that season, but I tend to forget.
I see people now, and I'm like, I don't even know where I know that person. Oh, wait, it was on American Idol. They auditioned one time. Haley, your history with Burt Bacharach?
Well, I was confused when I started watching this episode because I thought that we already had the Burt Bacharach episode. There was an episode in the first season that had like 2 or 3 of his songs in it. And so I was really like thrown for a loop. I was like, I think we've done this one before. So that's kind of where I had heard of him first. And then I think after that episode came out, they did a revival of Promises, Promises on Broadway, and kind of got into that for a little while. So yeah.
They did. Was that the one Harry Connick was in?
It was Kristen Chenoweth and Sean Hayes.
Sean Hayes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, which is a very nice show. Yeah, that's funny because they did in season 1. It was the episode with Kristen Chenoweth was in it, where the house is not a home, and I think they did one other one in that episode, as well as Randy, because that was also the episode where they did like Alone by Heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Jennifer, Burt Bacharach.
Oh, huge fan.
Oh,
Well, I mean, it's kind of music that, I grew up, my parents would have on in the background, that type of thing. But the first time, like, I really kind of remember, like, people in popular culture recognizing him or identifying, at least for, like, the next generation, was, I think it was the first Austin Power movies or the second Austin Power movie.
Where he was in it.
Yeah. That was kind of crazy. So that's what I always think about, like, his renaissance and his exposure to the next generation.
I mean, for me it was because I always loved Always Something There to Remind Me, and so I was like, all right, I'm going to look up when I was very young, because growing up my parents only listened to John Denver and Neil Diamond, so I was raised around like white dudes with really fluffy sideburns, and then as a like when I was in college, I was like, who's writing all of these songs that I like, and everyone thinks I'm weird. Oh, it's Burt Bacharach. So we had a. Yeah. That's pretty accurate representation of me, actually. It's kind of disturbing, but yeah, it's very. And one of the hallmarks of Burt Bacharach songs is that you can't tell where the verse and the chorus begin and end, and that the lyrics are always like so melodramatic. Like how the lyrics are always like, "If you leave me, I will die." And there's no middle ground. It's always very, very committed.
Very severe, extreme.
But yes, so we also had a lot of Samshel in this episode, but kind of separately. So first we'll talk a little bit about Rachel and Rachel's movement, or Rachel's plotline being where Mercedes comes back, and Mercedes really wants to get Rachel to get back to New York, and kind of their back and forth where Mercedes is trying to convince Rachel to take this audition and get back into the game. I guess the first thing to talk about is Mercedes coming back. It was kind of fun to have Amber Riley on the show. Though the one thing I realized is that at some point, it seems like in Middle Glee is what we'll call it, in Middle Glee, Mercedes became the Oracle from the Matrix, and everything she says is important, and she never really does anything wrong. And this was the episode where I was like, okay, I'm good. Like, you can stop. But I don't know, did anybody else have that reaction to Mercedes just coming in and spouting wisdom? No? Milo?
I mean, No, go for it.
This is like Glee writers' guilt for their mistreatment of Mercedes, but it's still ironic because I still feel in many ways they're still mistreating this Mercedes character. They're just making Mercedes an uninteresting, successful character as opposed to just an uninteresting character. That's
true. Haley?
No, I was going to say that it just seemed like any time she came in and said anything, the next step in that process was a character she was talking to would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And like there was just no conflict there whatsoever. So
it's true. She's like Morgan Freeman in the Shawshank Redemption. Like she just walks around and tells everyone what they're thinking. And like,
well, I think also too because she has been, the most successful graduate of 3 years ago. Because every good thing happens in the first 3 years out of high school. She, I think maybe people are just like taking her advice. I mean, I think that's why she's the one that people would respond to, could plausibly respond to, if they wanted to do anything, plausible or believable. But yeah, I mean, she's pretty grounded now. She's pretty well established, so I can see that's why that would have to be her role.
That's a good point. Like Mercedes is the most successful member of the New Directions now, like in achieving the goals that she had set out to achieve after New Directions.
Because she actually stuck with her original goal and didn't just chase after the next bright, shiny thing.
I mean, Mike Chang has never come home, so I think he's
That's
pretty
how
successful.
real successful he is.
Yeah, that's how you mark success in my life. I never came home. That's really true. I mean, he is the only original New Direction that's just totally pieced out of this season. Harry Shim Jr. He's a mentor, a judge on this True TV show. Have you guys seen this?
No.
It's this True TV show called The Fake Off. Jennifer and I, we saw it.
Oh my God!
When we were back at
we
her
were in
parents'
New
house for
Hampshire.
Thanksgiving, and on True TV, it's called The Fake Off, and it's a dancing where everybody has some kind of a gimmick, and it's not really about like performative dancing. It's about like we dance in white paint, so it makes us all look like skeletons, or like we dance with big backdrop projection screens, so it looks like we're on the moon.
And you're shadow dancing. And
Yeah,
it's
or
very,
like blacklight characters. It's so weird.
yeah, it's very like Vegas-y, illusionist dance performance thing.
And you spend the entire series like, because I watched like 4 episodes of that show. Spent every episode just going, how did they find 12 groups of people that actually do this? This obscure art form. But anyway, yeah, look up Fake Off, and you can see Harry Shim Jr. as a judge on a reality show. I guess Artie is a judge on a reality show too, isn't that right, Ed? It's like an Irish show, like an Irish singing show that Kevin McHale's a judge on.
I am unaware of this, but good for him.
No, I'm gonna look this up right now.
I was sorry.
BBC like ITV singing show. Ed's got to have heard of it.
I was just thinking like about a day and a half ago about Kelly Clarkson's new song, Heartbeat Song, and I was like, well, which is pathetic, by the way.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But I was like, does anyone remember she was a judge on a show? I think it was called Duets. It might have been on NBC. I was like, does anyone remember that? Does anyone even remember that show with John Legend?
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that Celebrity Duets? I remember that.
Yeah, the whole show was duetting with your mentor partner. It was like The Voice without really caring about the contestants even a little bit. Even a little bit.
No, I don't remember that at all. That's hilarious. That's another thing about this episode. We got to see Artie get out of his wheelchair for the second time in 6 seasons. That was kind of a big deal.
Only the second time. There was Safety Dance, and there was also there was Duck Sauce, and there was this.
Oh yeah.
So this is at least.
I forgot duck sauce.
I totally forgot it. I
don't blame you, but for some reason this stood out in my mind.
Duck sauce is my least favorite thing ever on Glee. It continues to be my least favorite thing. Haley, I keep interrupting you. What were you going to say?
No, I just looked it up, and it says that McHale would host a comedy panel show for the network E4 in the United Kingdom. The show Virtually Famous, and then it just talks about the co-stars. But it's a comedy panel show, so there you go.
So yes, we got to spend a little time with Rachel and her kind of journey back to Broadway, really kind of bringing that back. The timing is funny because they're saying like she's auditioning now, and then we've got 5 weeks until sectionals. They've really clarified 5 weeks until sectionals, so that was kind of we definitely know what our endpoint is gonna be. And she ended up, overcoming her fear, going back to New York and auditioning. I thought it was a really nice plot line. I thought it was kind of interesting to see Rachel be so scared, and her speech about, I grew up here and got used to people laughing at me, and now I feel like they're laughing at me in a totally different way. It felt very applicable to my current life. It's very, very real, especially for someone in that industry and kind of performing and such. And I don't know, for me, this was the plot line I liked the most, was seeing Rachel kind of overcome her fear and go back to do this audition, which I'm sure she'll get. Jennifer?
Yeah, I will say this was one of my favorite moments of the season because you know, we've seen her be embarrassed, we've seen her express regret, but we've never seen this full breakdown of, oh my God, I can't believe this has happened, and I did this, and yeah, I mean, the way she identified, you know, the mocking and, you know, the teasing and such. So, yeah, I thought it was really good, and I was like, okay, I forgive you. I forgive you chasing that your next new shiny thing and abandoning everything you swore you wanted for the, you know, first 16 years of your life. But, you know, it was good. It was good to see.
Yeah, Ed, how did you feel about Rachel in this one?
It brought me like I was just feeling. It felt like a montage from American Idol when the person wins, when they were showing her in the different scenes of New York. I was like, her dreams. She wanted so bad, and I was like, and they had the call back to MySpace videos. I don't think they actually said, but they implied, I was like, oh my God, Rachel, you come so far and you gave up so much. Why? It was definitely. I mean, it reminded me how much I wanted the old Rachel to be successful. So it succeeded. And
That's a very good point.
Yes. I'm over this bratty Rachel that we had for a little, or disinterested Rachel. I don't know, whatever she was. Disinterested.
Yeah, she was a little hard to love. Now, Haley, you are at a performative degree in pursuit of a performing arts degree.
Yeah, I am studying theater here, so.
So how does Rachel's plot line, how have you connected to that, and then kind of its current state as well?
Well, when I rewatched the episode again this morning, and it definitely hit me because I'm auditioning for something tonight, and it was like, oh no, now I'm being nervous. Okay, need to get out of that mode. But no, I thought it was really sweet. It was nice to see her be a human being, and not Leah Michelle. But no. Yeah, no, it was good. But I feel like we've also had this speech from her before. Like, I feel like when she first came home, this was her speech, like, they're laughing at me, but they're laughing at me because I failed, and I haven't had that before. So
we are circling a little bit on what she said. I think for me, this was the most honest. I felt like she'd been.
No, I agree with that for sure.
She was kind of like buried under like the shame the first time, but this was just the fear part of it. You're right. It's fun to be able to root for Rachel again because it's been a while. She's been a little hard to love. Let's go ahead and we'll take a listen to a song before we come back to Finchel. This is Arthur's theme, or Best That You Can Do. If you do not like the song, there's something wrong. This song is amazing. People. Best That You Can Do is amazing. Here's a bit of Arthur's theme on the Gleeful Podcast.
Once in your life you'll find her, someone who turns your heart around, and next thing you know, you're closing down the town. Wake up and it's still with you, even though you left away across town. You wonder into yourself, hey, what have I found? When you get caught between the moon and New York City, I know it's crazy, but it's true. If you get caught between the moon and New York City, the best that you can do, the best that you can do is fall in love. Arthur, he does as he pleases. All of his life, his master's toys, and deep in his heart, he's just a boy, living his life one day at a time. He's showing himself a really good time.
So I know I just said that this song is perfect, and it is, but it does make me laugh that the first verse is like a really beautiful kind of encapsulation of a relationship, and then the second verse is the plot of the movie Arthur. Like, just a real quick rundown of Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli's Arthur, and then we go back to the song.
There you go. Huh?
There you go.
No, I love what. Ooh.
Oh yes, if you're old, you might remember the movie Arthur with Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli. It's quite good. Haley, what were you saying?
I noticed that, and I also noticed that during that second verse, that's when they cut away to the scenes of her in New York. So they were like, "We're not actually singing about this movie. We're gonna sing about her in New York," and here she is.
Yeah, you know, it was funny, like, going back, Lea Michele looks so different. Like, she looks exactly the same, and yet looks so different from that first season when they were in New York. It was really sweet. It was nice. So yes, we got a bit of Sam chill in this episode. First of all, Sam is apparently still in love with Mercedes, and he has a thing for Rachel, but he's not quite. He can commit, and then Rachel has her thing going on, and she's not quite sure she can commit to Sam, and yet they kind of want to have a thing together. So Jennifer, my question to you is, do you care?
Well, no. I mean, the thing is, I feel like they're trying to make it happen so hard, and if it was going to happen naturally, it would have. But it didn't, and it's not. And she's going to go back to New York, and he's going to stay in Lima. And that's okay. Like, that's where those two people belong.
Yeah.
So just because he's the only, eligible male of that age in her general proximity, they shouldn't be forced together.
No, I think that's totally true.
And there's no chemistry there. Apparently there's no chemistry with Sam and anybody.
Court Overstreet's just destined to be alone.
No. Although I thought,
God.
He was with, I don't know, when he was with Quinn, there was something kind of cute there.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say Emma.
It might have been the Lucky duet had sparks.
Yes,
that
was it, because that's actually one of, one performance that I really remember fondly.
Yeah, it's funny to the whole Sam Chill thing just makes me think of how when Sam joined the show, the whole joke was that he was Finn 2.0, and now they're kind of like, oh well, we'll just hook her up with Finn 2.0. It doesn't work. Ed, how do you feel about Sam Chill, the continuing thing?
Well, you just said something, and I thought it was headed towards the Sam Chill relationship, but now I've decided, probably against my better judgment, to have faith in the writers, and take their plot points of the hypnotization, whatever, with Sue and the this whole they're just in proximity to each other, like that's why they're kind of on this trajectory. But as soon as Rachel regains her status, she'll move on with her life. So it's like taking you to the edge of the Finchel storyline of her coming back to Lima, but in this universe, Rachel gets to just go and become a star.
Oh, okay, all right.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
No, it's interesting putting faith in the writers. That's
I know. It's against my better judgment, I must say.
Now, Haley, what is your history with Sam? Have you ever enjoyed Sam in a relationship? And does Sam Chill seem like a good idea?
Yeah, I think I enjoyed it when he was with Quinn for a little while, and then I don't know, he's better than Brody, so there you go.
Brody.
I don't know.
Oh, Brody!
The male gigolo.
I loved Dean Geyer when he was on Australian Idol. I know I've said this before. That is all.
Now, okay, so to the to the members of the podcast of a male predilection, do you prefer, who is prettier? Because they're both super pretty. Court Overstreet or Dean Geyer? For two very studly, beefy guys.
Dean Geyer. Dean Geyer has a natural South African accent, so that's going to win.
Wait, really? When he's not on Glee?
He grew up in South Africa until he was 17.
Okay, yeah, you're right, Ed. That totally wins. Even as the straight guy here, I'm kind of yeah, that totally wins. You can't argue with a South African accent. It would be funny to Brody come back, wouldn't it? For one moment. No.
No.
I mean, I don't think he's doing anything. What is he doing?
He didn't. The last time we saw Brody, he was getting his face kicked in by Finn. I think that was his last scene on the show.
Oh God, what is he? But I'm checking. I'm seeing if he's doing something. I hope he has a real life and is doing something.
I assure you, he has a real life.
He's in something called The Landmine Goes Click and the Sand in 2014. That is his.
Does both.
He's available. He's available.
Make some calls, people. Jennifer, you.
Sounds like a Hurt Locker knockoff. I like Sam better as a blonde.
Yeah.
I really like blonde. This brunette is just washing him out. It does nothing for his skin tone. I think they're both attractive. But I mean, as far as the character goes, you know, if it had happened differently, I would have loved for her to ended up with Sam, but it didn't. You know, too many hoops, too many absurd things, and the fact is, he did even say in this episode he's still in love with Mercedes. So there you go.
It is a bit of a weird. I mean, the conversation between Sam and Mercedes on the stage, where she was like, you know, hey, I'm dating a Christian rock singer named Tank, I guess, and.
She does like the big guys. What was the other one?
I don't remember his name.
Football player.
What's his name?
I remember it was such a big deal when they cast him, and then he had like 2 scenes.
I'm looking this up.
Bubba, but
That Bubba said's right. I remember it was not
football.
flattering.
Yeah, and it was just like a jock type nickname.
And he was from Friday Night Lights. I think that was a big deal that he had come over from Friday Night Lights. Yeah, you know, Mercedes has always been a little disrespected, but yeah, there's not. I mean, for an episode where a lot of stuff happened, there isn't too much more to talk about. Ed, I know you have to duck out in a minute, so is there anything that you wanted to bring up?
The main thing is I was remiss not mentioning it before. I went and had dinner with Rochelle at Mole Keeper earlier in the week.
Nice.
So. It was awesome meeting her, and we got crepes. I think we're getting margaritas this week. So
Rachel's awesome. So there you go. Rachel joins the illustrious as the listener to have met all of them.
And Michael David.
And Michael David. There you go. Agree.
Hold on, you don't refer to him by his Twitter handle in real life?
Ren Mike D. I know I don't.
I don't.
I don't know if I actually knew his. I think I know his name, but Ren Mike D. It's just like. And that one picture he had looked like Voldemort, and I just can never disconnect them. They will always be connected in my mind.
And
he tweeted me the other day, and he said, "Should I watch this last season of Glee?" And I had said, my response was, you know how the last season of a TV show is usually 1 part fan service and 1 part plots that are totally unnecessary, but they just pad out the rest of the episodes. And I was like, the last season of Glee is pretty much not that. It's just fan service. Like, it's just like, hey, you want Britannia? Here's Britannia. You want Klaine? Here's Klaine. You know, you want to get Becky back for a couple episodes? Here's Becky back for a couple episodes. And so you don't have like the last season of Lost, which had the temple and had, you know, a whole bunch of new characters that you didn't need. But you also have the last season of Lost, which gave you Skate and gave you the big finale with the dog. Like, so, you know, you got it back. You got Vincent to come back. But yes, Jennifer, you reminded me of the other most important thing to talk about. Emma came back in this episode.
That's what I was going to say.
What, Emma was there? Where?
She wasn't there. It was.
Backside was there.
They had fake Emma. They had a fake Shemp play Emma.
I called her the imitator.
That's my wife.
You can see your redhead in the party scene.
Everyone
Oh
fist
my
bump
God.
your iPod right now. Because that was a great line.
That was fantastic.
Imitator. Oh,
It was just hilarious. Like, they know it's absurd that Emma's not around, so they brought in a fake Emma.
Well, they can only go to his apartment so many times and not show her.
Yeah.
But I mean,
just have
why
dinner.
not keep it up?
Yeah, exactly.
I loved that they had her in side profile, like walk by, but she walked by so fast that you can only see like a blur of her face.
Oh, I know, and I was watching it on demand and I couldn't pause it because I was like, is that her?
I tried to do that too and it didn't work.
Well, it's great. Like, I think it was I think it's Britannia who walks into the room, and everyone turns and says hello except for the redhead at the bar, who was like, "Yeah, it's you guys."
Hey, you
I
know
got
what?
drinks
If
tonight."
your husband kept inviting his high school students over to have a dinner party, you'd be at that bar all the time too.
Oh my god! Like, how great would it if like Terry showed up? He's like Terry just happens to be playing Emma. Like, this week, the part of Emma will be portrayed
Oh
by.
my god.
No, just Terry in a red wig, and this was a part of her plan all along. She's like,
Oh my god! If the red wig had turned around and it was Terry, and she's like, "Hello," like,
oh my
that would be
God.
so
And
Like,
Willie's
I'm
like-
Emma. Hi, it's Emma. Nice to see you all again.
Jessalyn Gilsing is like, "What we doing? I'm back, bitches."
Well, by the time I bought you all airplane tickets to go to New York, yeah, that happened.
That happened.
And she's so Will's been so obsessed with, the baby and his high school friends that he doesn't even notice that isn't the same.
He just doesn't notice that Sandra and Jessalyn killed Emma.
Exactly. So you brought up something great, Ed. Before we wrap Glee, like as a podcast, we need to count down the top 10 craziest Glee plot lines that never went anywhere. And because there's so many.
Ooh.
And like the top 10 craziest Glee plot lines that never went anywhere, and I'm telling you right now, number 1 is going to be Artie's robotic legs. But the other nine-
But that went some. They referenced it later that they were stolen.
They did. They said they were.
you
Does
can't
that count?
get it away.
Like you have to define, because as recklessly as they throw plot threads out there, they as recklessly pick it up for a second. Like
Oh, yes.
so you have to
And then
define what is left alone.
Haley, were you saying something?
Well, I was just thinking back to when we were talking about who's been the most successful since college, and now I'm thinking, now that Brittany sold Queso por dos to Univision, isn't she the most successful?
She is. She has tons of Latino fans that flock to her literally overnight. She was.
I mean, I understand. I get it.
Yes, I would watch Queso por dos.
I'm happy they brought back Mrs. Tubbington.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Or Lady Tubbington.
Lady Tubbington.
Lady Tubbington. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want to see Ken Tanaka back too.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Like,
Oh
I
my
wish that he had filled in while Beast was gone.
Okay,
That would
I-
be amazing.
have to go. I'm
We are
being yelled
losing-
at to leave. You're losing me. See you next week, Believer.
And,
See you.
it would be hilarious for the last episode of Glee to just have a parade of like Ken Tanaka and Terry's sister.
Howard Bamboo.
What?
Howard Bamboo.
Howard Bamboo.
Yes, I couldn't think of his name.
Oh, totally. And then who was the one who cut off his thumbs?
Yeah, I was trying to think.
The guy who's in Jersey Boys. He was,
Yes.
yeah, I know, was his name Henry something? I
Oh, it was
think
Henri? Was it Henri?
Henri. There we go.
Oh my gosh, that would be so. Well, honestly, we should just have a total like
Oh my
acapella
God.
song.
Well,
Needs
yes.
to-
Yeah.
Acapellas need to perform. Vincent Garber needs to show up and just not say anything, just wave from the back of the room.
I want.
Oh no, wait, he died, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
Didn't he die? Not
He-
Vincent Garber.
Oh, well,
But didn't the character die?
Will's dad.
Will's dad die? My totally.
I think you're.
And we just, honestly,
Well, we gotta have Stephen Tobolowsky back.
we have to have Stephen Tobolowsky back.
I was once on a plane with Stephen Tobolowsky.
Aw, that's awesome.
I
He's
know
such
we
a
were-
nice guy.
Yeah, we were flying back from Boston, and the turbulence was horrible. Like, it was literally the worst turbulence I've ever been in my life, and the plane was just, like, going side to side and side to side, and afterwards he, like, tweeted out about the turbulence, and I was like, I was on that plane too, and he was like, yeah, it was terrible. I've had an interaction.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
It's like there are so many characters that have just been
So many
forgotten.
good characters.
Yeah.
So
Good
many
characters.
just kind of crazy out there. I mean, Josh Groban has to come back for
Oh,
some
totally.
reason.
We should get one song from Adam's Apples for no reason. Just-
Oh, my goodness. I forgot about them.
there could just be an entire, like the entire theater where when they perform at sectionals should be all former members of Vocal Adrenaline.
Mm.
Like just former coaches of
Yes.
Vocal Adrenaline.
Jonathan Groff needs to come back. We need Jesse. That's who I want Rachel Berry to end up with. Jesse St. James.
That
Bring
would
him
be
back.
great.
I would
Oh.
love that.
That would be. Oh, and I could see he should be performing on Broadway too.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised they didn't make that happen. Like when she
Yeah.
went to New York. I mean, I know he's busy with that other show, but still.
They're all busy with it. He's on Looking now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Aw.
It's funny, like I also think of random Broadway stars the show never got. Like that Jeremy Jordan never showed up on Glee at any point still kind of surprises me. Like there's only so many. You got Cheyenne Jackson like 4 times. Like how could you not get Jeremy Jordan for one number? Was he busy?
He was on Smash.
He's pretty busy.
He is very busy. I know.
He's a
doing
busy guy.
It's true. He's great. I can't wait to see the last 5 years. Now that Ed's gone, let's totally Broadway out here for a second.
Okay.
I can't wait to see the last 5 years. That's amazing.
Okay, and I know nothing about the story, so if you
I'm
know
very
it,
excited
I don't
because I work at a movie theater.
wanna-
Oh.
oh, you've
They
already seen it?
just put up a poster the other day, and no one had written their name down to take the poster home. So I'm first on that list, and I will get that poster, and it will be glorious.
That's amazing. Yes. No, that's it is funny that the show, like, for as many jokes as it's made this season about how Broadway out some of the, like she keeps making jokes about, oh, don't let Kurt take over because it's going to be nothing but Into the Woods and Paula Cole, which was a random reference to throw in, Paula Cole. I didn't know, Kurt was a big fan. But anyway, there were also a lot of Broadway aspects that never quite played out either. I was thinking this morning how Glee really has been like an entire show about overcorrecting. So it seems like, the show, at the very beginning of the show, they were like, okay, we're putting way too much on the teachers. The audience doesn't really like the teachers. So then the teachers almost entirely went away. And then it was kind of like, oh yeah, the audience really wants to see more New York. So then it went entirely to New York. And then for a while last season, it was like, man, every song is a really aggressive, modern, upfront song. And now we have no modern songs and entire episodes of Burt Bacharach. Seems like the show's constantly just going way too far in the other direction rather than trying to find a balance between things. It's just going entirely in another direction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to fault a show for trying to give everybody what they want, but
True.
if you try to give everybody what they want, you're not giving anybody what they want.
Yeah, it's kind of a...
Yeah. If you saw the preview for next week, we are getting all about that bass, so...
That's true.
That is pretty...
And I'm sure they'll make
most
Dot Marie
contemporary.
Jones sing it. And that'll be,
Yeah.
She's coming back next.
She
coming back.
is.
Yeah, that's true. We'll probably end up and they'll make a big deal about that bass. Which of all the modern songs they could be doing, that's like so low on the list.
That's true.
I'd love to see Leah Michele do Chandelier. I think that would sound incredible. But what do
She is a friend of Sia.
I?
Sia write her entire album, or some of her album. I don't know.
We have a couple of voicemails we can listen to real quick before we go. Here is listener Sonia. Play.
Hi, it's Sonia from Minnesota, and you probably don't even remember me, but if you do and were wondering...
Okay, first of all, of course I remember you.
Minnesota, shout out.
Yeah, and you got the shout out from Haley. We got some Minnesota in the house.
Yeah.
Here we go.
where I was. Well, at first I didn't remember, and then later, when I was remembering, all my hope had been killed for the show. When Santana did her little reading of Kurt. First, it blamed Kurt for all the problems Clean has in such a way that it implies that Santana's only ever heard Blaine's side of the story. I mean, even if you're not a Kurtzy like I am, you have to at least concede that Blaine's done a couple things wrong. It also was ephemophobic, saying that Kurt is unattractive and undesirable because he's feminine. And there were parts of it in which it was not really an attack made by Santana against Kurt, but an attack laid by Brad Falchuk against Chris. Some shade thrown on the episode he wrote, and mocking his piece, which is something that Chris is insecure about, and that's why you don't see many pictures of him smiling with his teeth. And then for the latest episode, I'm not watching anymore, but, you know, I'm on Tumblr, so I'm keeping up to date. I won't go into the whole details. I'll just say it doesn't make any sense for Sue to be a cleaner because, at least until this point, Sue hates Blaine. She hates him. She would not care what kind of relationship he had because she wouldn't want anything to do with him. She hates Blaine, and she sort of likes Kurt. So if anything, she should be against Blaine just on the basis of her hating Blaine. So that OOC inconsistency thing is my main problem with it. The rest of it I expect to see from Glee now, but that's why I'm not watching anymore. I can't stand to see what they've done to Kurt and how they're making jokes about suicide and how sexual assault is apparently funny. I just can't take it anymore. So, bye, guys.
All right, that's listener Sonia. Let's try here. We got this is listener Justin, I believe.
Hey, Josh, Jen, and Ed. This is listener Jonathan.
Jonathan,
and I
sorry.
just finished watching What the World Needs Now, and I did see a Ginger stand-in. I don't know if it was canon. So we know that Joe isn't a axe murderer, at least in the scene in his apartment. He was carrying around Daniel Finn, and I saw somebody with red hair who looked to be older than a student. Can't wait to hear what you guys think of the episode. You're doing a great job, and you're the best part about the show. Bye.
Well, thank you,
Yeah,
Jonathan.
thank you.
I have to look up if Jayma Mays is like really busy or if they just didn't want to pay her anymore.
She's gonna come back at some point.
It is pretty absurd at this point.
I mean, she does have a show. I know that.
Oh, is she on a show right now?
She's doing something.
I wonder if we'll see her at Brittany and Santana's wedding, because it would be weird not to, but also they probably won't have her. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very strange. Let's see. Let's go to Florida for a voicemail.
Hey, Josh and Ed. This is Alexis. I'm calling to talk about this week's episode, What the World Needs Now. And I love this episode, not just because of the Britannia stuff, which they're my OTP, so, but it was actually a really good episode. Even the Rachel, Mercedes, Sam stuff was great. Some of the songs didn't work for the situation. Like I didn't want Nia to. Nia singing Alfie, even though she sang it beautifully. I didn't know. It didn't really work for me, but it was. But then there were one or two other songs that didn't work for the situation, but the performance of the songs was great. And now let's get to Britannia. How are they waiting till last season to write Brittany like this? It was like she's a real person and they didn't make her joke. I loved how I know it's a lot of, because it's the last season and I love that they're trying to do this. They're trying to finish up the series on a good note. They're ending Britannia on a good note, which is I love. So, and if I wish they had done this, like they'd done this with Britannia, most of season 3, they could have turned out better. They had started by season 4 and 5, they were okay, but they kind of lost the momentum of season 2 and season 3. But I think they're really making up for it, and I'm super happy about this. So thanks for listening, and I'm glad that I got to share this, and I'll be listening for this week's episode. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening, Alexis. It's a good point. Alfie is a beautiful song, though it's another one that's really tied to the movie that it's from, lyrically. But it was fun. It didn't really seem like the right song for that moment. I mean, there's plenty of Bacharach songs that I think could be a little bit more appropriate to that particular moment. It was a strange pick. I mean, yeah, Haley, did you have a similar reaction to
Yeah, no, I also, usually in Glee, don't they, like, if there's a name in a song, they'll change it to be character specific for Glee. And, like, it was so weird that she was like, Alfie, and I was like, okay.
But as soon as these strings kicked up, I was like, okay, this is Alfie. And I was dreading the moment where she comes out and sings What's It All About, Abuela? And I was like, oh, that would have been even worse.
That would have been terrible. But, yeah.
Or maybe her name was Alfie. I was like, oh, I didn't remember.
You could say Alma. Alma's very close to Alfie. I don't know.
same syllables, very close. Yeah, well, I mean, there is a line or two in there that's just, basically, love is love, no matter what, something like that. I mean, I can't even remember it right now. Still waking up, but yeah, I mean, the sentiment was there, but I did think it was an oddly specific song to choose. And he has to have another it has to be another, like, just love song that could have been more generic, more general, that would have fit. But
there's it's Burt Bacharach's catalog. Like, they're pretty much all love songs. Like, there's got to be one in there.
Can I just say that I want to be a Glee character, and I just want to have a closet full of ball gowns, because they all seem to have a closet full of ball gowns that they just whip out at any moment. And
who is fitting them too? Like, there's someone off screen who's fitting all of their costumes for them. Well, I love the moment where Mercedes and Rachel were talking about doing her audition, and you could see the band walking in behind them where she started singing Promises, Promises. I'm just like, okay. They're acknowledging how absurd it is. So I'll give them points for that. Barbara Brown directed this episode, who actually directed the last episode, too. It's kind of rare to have someone direct 2 episodes in a row on a show like this. And then we have one more voicemail. Let's go to South Carolina.
Hi, Josh, Jen, Ed, and awesome guest host, if applicable. This is Tiffany from New York. Thanks for having me on the show. I had a blast. I have a couple of thoughts about the most recent episode of Glee. The first one is that I feel like they're trying to do way too much with way too little time left. I mean, the main focus of the last few episodes, Kurt and Blaine might have had a line or two between the two of them, and I don't think we saw Sue at all this episode. I understand that they want to give everybody their, own happy ending, but I think it's a big ask for only having a handful of episodes left, but we'll see. My second thought is, Glee has had tribute episodes about Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson and Madonna and Burt Bacharach. I mean, these things is not like the other. Oh. While that Christopher Cross song, The Best You Can Do is Fall in Love, is one of my personal favorites because it is the theme of one of my favorite comedies of all time, which is Arthur, the original Dudley Moore version, not a crappy Russell Brand travesty of a remake. A single person under the age of 45 who would know that all of the songs from the episode were written by Burt Bacharach.
Tiffany got cut off. Well, yes.
She's in New York now. That's why.
She's in New York, but yes. So Tiffany's in New York. No, I you broke my heart, Tiffany. Just cracked me a little bit. Though I'll admit, like, trying to make the comparison, it is a bit apples and oranges to say Burt Bacharach and Michael Jackson. That is a tough comparison. But All right. And huzzah for your love of Arthur. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have for the episode. Jennifer, anything else? Anything that we forgot?
No. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it's just it's a nice little build up to a wedding, a career revival, a pleasant life in your hometown. I don't know. It's again, I'm enjoying it, so I don't want to say anything bad.
That's something. Haley, any final thoughts on the episode?
I had this written down. Ken Jeong wasn't crazy. He was very calm, and that was amazing. It was really nice to not see him flip out on camera, and that was lovely.
Ken Jeong playing a character actually closer to Ken Jeong.
Restraint.
Yes.
He told a story once where he was working with Judd Apatow on something when he was back when he was still a doctor, because Ken Jeong was a doctor for most of his life, and then he was like, hey, here's one successful job, let me go be an actor. But he was a doctor, and he said Judd Apatow told him, you're really funny when you lose control, and I feel like he really took that too far.
But so maybe in the beginning, but now the people know him as that guy. I think now him doing something so restrained is actually more entertaining. And
he is. He seems to have found a much better balance these days. Very good note.
Doesn't that make Brittany Stifler's half sibling? Just horrible.
A very interesting observation.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I'll buy that. Wow. That is it for us. If you'd like to weigh in on anything we said tonight, you can email us at gleefulpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at gleefulpodcast. I'm at Josh Furnell. She's at Jenny B. Creative. He's at Edward Giordano, and she's at Haley's Roses.
Yeah.
2 Y's. What? And then you can also find us on the Facebooks. Just go ahead and search for Gleeful Podcast, where you can talk to the other listeners. And I say that because I never go on Facebook. So if you want to reach us, you should probably find us on the Twitter.
I do respond to the direct questions. I try.
There you go.
I try.
And that's about it for us. We'll be back next week to discuss the latest episode of Glee with a co-host we have not yet identified.
And actually, side note, we won't be returning until Sunday afternoon, so we might be doing a Monday President's Day recording.
Right. We'll talk to Ed. We'll work it out.
Or Sunday night.
But yes, any final thoughts about the show Glee, Haley? Will you be continuing? Will you be following through with
I'll definitely follow through the end. I mean, I started in the beginning. I got to finish it.
I agree. I hear you. That's the only reason I read all those stupid Twilight books, because
There you go. I did that too. It happened.
It happened. Yeah, let's spend 3,000 pages building up to a fight scene that is settled in a handshake.
Wait, what?
I totally just spoiled Twilight for you. That is true. So for the Gleeful Podcast with Josh, Jen, Ed, and Haley, this is Josh.
I'm Jen.
I'm Haley.
Good night, everyone. Or good day, because it is really
good
early.
Day.
Oh, and the song totally ended. So in order to do that, we're going to do it one more time, and I'm going to put up this song. Okay, here we go. It's a Burt Bacharach song. There's a flugelhorn involved.
Oh, yeah.
That's
we did this song in Girl Scouts. I remember that. We sang this song in Girl Scouts.
Sweet.
One more time. For the Gleeful Podcast with Josh and Ed and Haley, this is Josh.
I'm Jen.
I'm Haley.
Good night, everyone.
It's love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone.
Lord, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb. There are oceans and rivers enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time.
What the world needs now is love.
All right, we are done recording. We're still live though, and I just want to thank Haley for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're the best in all things. We will talk soon.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Adios. Good night.
Bye.